Think we're live. We'll see in a second. Okay, we're live. Okay, so if you tried to get on a minute ago, I was having a few technical difficulties. And so we have an interesting conversation that we're going to have tonight. And guys, I'm going to be getting into some stuff that is a little bit more in the spiritual nature, you know. Um, oh, good. Hi, Joanne. How are you? Um, okay. So I'm using my computer today, and so it's a little bit different, and it's not showing me things exactly the way that it does on my phone. So no, you didn't miss it. It's just I was having a few technical difficulties. So um, I have a really big, really cool computer in my office, and since I'm not in my office, I'm, kind of moving around trying to find the right space to do this because, so my husband and I bought an RV. And since we have been on this lockdown, we've been hanging out at the RV on the water, and doing all that kind of stuff. And this has been really fun. But unfortunately, it's kind of odd to find that right space for it. So, anyways, I'm having to do it on my laptop, and you know, and so I had to reinstall the software for the camera, and then the audio wasn't working right, and just a bunch of crazy stuff. So anyway, and I'm having a crazy hair day. Go figure. But I didn't want to keep posting that I'm going to go live and not do it. So here I am. Okay, so the thing about this particular software that I'm using, it's a little bit different, and it's so I can't really tell who's logging on unless you say hi. So anyways, we're gonna have an interesting conversation tonight. I'm gonna be doing a lot more talks about spiritual stuff lately. I had a conversation with one of my friends who, if you haven't ever talked to this guy, you should. His name is CC. And he is, or Chris, he's a psychic medium. He's on my Facebook. If you don't, if you don't know who I'm talking about, you should definitely check him out. But anyways, he's a friend of mine. And hi, how are you? Nice to see you. Anyways, Chris is a friend of mine, and he's a psychic medium. And so I called him today because I needed to, have that closure because of my dad dying and everything. And it was really a good reading. And I felt really good about how that all worked out. But he kind of gave me a few little pointers too. And he said, Michelle, you're really talented. He goes, and I don't say this very often to people. He goes, because there's very few people who are the real deal. And he goes, I don't understand why you're not getting out there and doing readings and talking about the spiritual nature of things and all of that kind of stuff. And so he kind of pushed me to kind of go that direction. So you're going to be seeing a lot more of that kind of stuff. Most of the time I'm always talking about how to get over depression and anxiety and all that kind of stuff, but we are going to get into some other issues that are really interesting topics. I'm also going to be putting together some little mini workshops, on how to learn how to do some things, or, kind of work on some areas that a lot of people want to work on. So if there's definitely some topics or some subjects that you'd like to learn things about, definitely hit me up on that. And I'm always welcome to putting something like that together. So if you're coming into the chat room, make sure you say hi. Okay. And that way I know you're here. So thank you. Anyways, like I said, excuse the crazy hair. I haven't been straightening it very much since I been here. Hi Danielle, how are you? Thank you for saying hi. Yeah, just drop me a little heart or something and let me know you're here, because for some reason they're doing this on my laptop. I'm not really seeing who's popping in. So I want to make sure that I acknowledge everybody. All right, so let's get started. Let's talk about something really fun. Okay, so wow, so this is actually one of my favorite subjects of all time is to talk about multiple dimensions and multiple realities. And so I do this thing where if I'm really wanting things to kind of move, it's a little bit different than manifesting. It's similar, but slightly different. And what I do is I start talking, I start kind of like doing this like chant thing. And I do it until I fall asleep, where I literally like move myself into, you know, another reality. And when I wake up, things have shifted. It's really bizarre, but it works. Um, if you're interested in learning how to do that, hit me up and let me know, because I will, you know, I'm going to talk to you a little bit about it tonight. And if I get enough people that are interested in, you know, learning how to do it, I'll do a little mini workshop. And nothing that's really expensive. I'll probably do, you know, things, anything that I'm going to be doing from this point on is going to be, you know, just to help me kind of pay the bills a little bit since my husband's carrying the weight right now. And, and you know, just some little extra stuff, so it won't be too expensive, $20, $40, something like that. Nothing real pricey. So anyways, so let's talk about how this happens. So I'm going to kind of tell you the history of this a little bit so you can kind of get an understanding of how I got into this, because this is really fun. So my sister is, she's like bizarre. I mean, like, she's the weirdest person you ever meet in your life. Like, I don't even think she belongs to this earth, you know? And she's always telling me, you know, like, nobody understands me. And I'm like, well, I understand you. And she goes, well, you're just like me. And I'm like, yeah, but the difference is that I actually can relate to people. You're like an alien on this planet, and nobody can even, you know, even try to understand you or relate to you because you don't try to relate to them. And she really thinks that everybody's supposed to be just like her, which is funny. But anyway, she's got this really interesting talent where she can actually move into different realities. Okay, not dimensions, but realities. Okay, and what she does that is so cool is that she can actually like, she'll like pop in and out of them. And how I started discovering that this was happening was, I remember a couple of events that happened where she was in the, you know, like her son was in the hospital, and I went up there to go visit. And when I went up there, I was like, oh my God, I got to tell you what happened to me. And I started to tell her the story, and she was like, I know, you've already told me this. I know. And I go, no, Jenny, you don't understand this. You know, this is new stuff. She goes, Michelle, you just told me this a couple weeks ago. And then she goes to finish, and she tells the whole story. She goes, yeah, you met this guy and da da da, and this happened and da da da. And I was like, okay, that's weird because this just happened 5 minutes ago. And she goes, no, that's impossible. Well, you know, for many years, she would always tell these stories about things that she said that she experienced. And we were like, that's impossible. You weren't there. But in her reality, she was. And, and so I always thought that, you know, she just wanted to be part of it, or something was kind of up with that, or, you know, some weird stuff. And so, but then when this started happening, as we started getting older, I started noticing that this girl could do some really bizarre stuff. She's also what is the word, telekinetic. And she can move objects. She can do some really bizarre things, like, and it's really quite funny and humorous at the time. You know, I remember a point in time where we thought that, you know, that she had poltergeist in her house, until I realized that she was actually the one doing it. She was the one blowing up the microwaves, and the coffee pot's not working, and light bulbs flashing on and off, and TVs breaking, and all kinds of stuff, because her emotions were so powerful that she would, you know, these kind of things would happen. So how weird is she? She's pretty weird. Yeah. So anyways, so all this stuff, you know, started happening. And I remember her telling me that and going, that is really weird how she is able to do this. Okay. So I started noticing this happening more and more frequently. And and I realized, that she was like jumping in and out of different realities. Like she was experiencing a reality that was like so similar, but it was maybe like a little bit ahead. And then she'd pop back in, and she was doing this because she would do things like start thinking about something really intensely. And this is how I ended up figuring it out, is because I started asking her, how are you doing this? Because I want to do it. And so she was like, I don't know, it just sort of happens. And I go, okay, well, like, what are you thinking about? What are you feeling? What's happening? And she I started to figure out like how she was doing it. And I started thinking, okay, I'm going to make this happen myself. So I put together a couple of ideas on different experiments that I was going to run and things that I was going to doing. Your light came on in the middle of the night by itself last night, and your sister sounds awesome. She is. She is. Although everybody else thinks she's like, woo. That's because, some people, they just don't necessarily know how to relate to other people like that. Like, she doesn't know how to relate to people who aren't, gifted. And so if you're not gifted, it's hard for her to even have a conversation with you, because in her world, everything is flying around and moving shit and jumping dimensions and, all that kind of stuff. It's like, really? That doesn't happen to you? That's what that's what she sounds like. Really? Because that happens to me all the time. Are you sure? She'll do things like that. Like, well, that's really weird. Like, she just almost like she doesn't believe that everybody else doesn't experience life the way she does, So she is pretty awesome. And it is really interesting to have conversations with her. I mean, our conversations are so bizarre. I mean, like, we have the best conversations. But again, not everybody can really understand her. So anyways, but I started noticing, hey, Rocky, what's up? So I'm doing some of that supernatural conversation. We're talking about multiple dimensions. I don't know how long you've been in here, but so my sister's got all these abilities of being able to actually jump from dimension to dimension, or realities to realities. And so I started noticing her doing this, okay? And so she would really believe that this was happening. It was just crazy. Hold on one second here. Hey, yeah, that's okay. I actually had just started, Dana, so it's not that big of a deal. It's not that big of a deal. If you don't really have to back it up. We were just kind of chit-chatting a little bit and just getting started. So don't worry about it. But if you have to go, that's fine. Catch the replay later. So Dana is actually a good friend of mine, you guys. I mean, like, real life friend. like lives in my town and that kind of stuff. So she's awesome. If you guys don't know her, you should get to know her. She's amazing. So anyways, so my sister has this ability of being able to go from different dimensions, or I would say not really dimensions, was like multiple dimension type thing. Okay, she can move into it, and like, it's a whole different reality. Okay, and I started noticing her doing this by situations where she would swear that it already happened. So I told you about the situation that happened with my when I was at the hospital with my nephew, and she's like, no, this happened. I was like, Jenny, honestly, I've never told you the story before. This literally happened 5 minutes ago. And she was like, huh? And then one time we're at our house, and we were sitting outside by the pool, and we were chit-chatting and talking, and we had several friends over, a couple of girls, and she needed to go inside to put her son to bed and finish up his meds and everything. And then she was like, all right, I got to do this real quick. Y'all just hold the conversation. Let's stop it right here, because I don't want to miss anything. And we're like, okay, no big deal. So we decided to stop the conversation that we were actually having. And Jennifer, her friend Jennifer, not Jenny, my sister, she asked me a question about something. And And I said, well, blah, blah, blah. And I started to answer her question. My sister was gone for 15, 30 minutes or something like that. And then she comes out and she opens up a Bible and she like lays it on the table and she goes, here, Jennifer, here, read this part right here. There's the answer to your question. And Jennifer literally like jumped out of her chair. I mean, she backed up and she was like, and she fell out of the chair. Like it scared her like she saw a ghost. And Jenny was like, what the heck is going on? What just happened? And I said, Jenny, you're doing one of your jumping things again. And she's like, huh? What? So like for a while, Jenny really didn't even realize that she was doing this. Okay. So I think one of the most profound things, because here's the thing, we changed subjects. Jennifer went around checking the windows to make sure she didn't overhear. She swore that she was out here with us having this conversation and listening in on it, and yet she wasn't. And we were like, this is a private conversation Jennifer and I had. You weren't here. And she's like, yeah, I was. And I was like, no, you weren't. So I was like, what are you doing? Are you like leaving your body and checking out and your astral self is like jumping in and listening? But I realized at some point I thought maybe that's what it was. But I started to realize that that wasn't it, because I started noticing a pattern with her. I was over her house and the news was on and we were watching live TV. And I was waiting for her because we were about to go somewhere. And so I was sitting in the living room and her husband Jason was there and he had the news on and it was live news. And she comes out and she's like, all right, I'll be out in just a second. I'm almost ready. And then she comes back out and she looks at the TV and she goes, are they still playing this? Oh my God, it's been a couple of weeks. I mean, aren't they over this? And Jason looks at her and he says, what are you talking about? And she goes, about those people that were buried alive and blah, blah, blah. She goes, oh my God, I mean, how much longer are they going to talk about this? And Jason goes, this is live TV. They're filming it in this country live right now. This is the first time it's ever been shown. And she goes, no, 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 no. And she starts telling us like very specifically what was going on. And so we were like, oh my God, like, how do you, like, what do you do with that? I mean, when somebody is there and they're like telling you that this happened 2 weeks ago, and it seems to me that she was hopping in these different realities, that was very close in nature. If she did go into a reality that wasn't close in nature, it was and she would literally like leave for a good period of time. And I started noticing like she was kind of walking around like a zombie. And it was, and I started like getting really concerned about it. Like, you need to come back. You need to come back. And she's like, huh? What? And I'm like, Jenny, please just come back. And then she would come back and she'd tell me these outrageous stories, like really outrageous. And she's like, I don't know, I feel like I'm going crazy. I actually experienced something that I wasn't married to Jason anymore. I was married to somebody else. And, and she was telling me these whole stories. She goes, it feels like a dream world, but, I was gone for a while. Like I was gone, like for several months. And I was like, okay, that's how long you've been acting really weird. And so it really kind of concerned me. So I started paying attention to what was happening with her. I started paying really close attention, and I started joking around and saying it's her doppelganger that's there. Like, which one is it here? Is this the Jenny or is this the doppelganger Jenny? And so what ends up happening is the most recent thing that happened, which I thought was really, really bizarre, was she cleans my brother's office buildings part-time on the weekends. And she went down into the medical center and she said, so basically she had just gotten on the freeway and she looked at her at her car and she said, oh my God, I just realized I'm out of gas. So she immediately, as soon as she got on, she looked for the first exit and she jumped off. And because she saw a Valero. So she pulls right out. And right as she was pulling into the Valero, like you exit and then you cross over the feeder and you go right into the Valero. That's how close it was. And she said as soon as she crossed over into the Valero, she was going into that parking lot, she said she ran out of gas. This guy comes over and he literally like comes out and helps her push her car over to the gas pump. Now this is relevant because when I tell you what ended up happening, you're gonna shit your pants because it was really bizarre. So anyways, so she's like, okay, so she gets out, she gets her gas and everything. Then she immediately, as soon as she finishes getting her gas, she drives down the feeder and she gets onto the first entrance onto the same freeway. Okay, so we're only talking like a few, out of gas. And so we're only talking about a few, like not even a mile. Okay, exits, goes to the Valero, gets back on the feeder, gets on the first entrance onto the freeway. Okay, that's how fast. And as soon as she got on the freeway, she saw an overpass and it veered over to the left, and within 5 minutes she was home. This is normally an hour drive. Okay, so as soon as she gets home, she was like, she starts telling everybody, oh my God, they built this new overpass. You guys have got to try it. It was amazing. I was home like in a very short period of time. I couldn't believe it. This is amazing. I'm surprised you guys haven't tried it. And she was going around telling everybody, and we're all like, what are you talking about? And they were like, we haven't, we've never heard of this. Everybody was like, what? And we thought maybe she just like dinged out and lost time or something. And so she was like, all right, the next time she cleaned the office building, she decided to do the exact same thing. So she remembers, she goes, okay, as soon as I got on, here's that exit. I pass the exit and then I go over the overpass. Well, she never found the overpass. So she exits all the freeway. She circles back around. She starts driving back exactly the way that she came from the place that she was cleaning. And she says, okay, I'm going to take that first exit. And we'll find that Valero. She takes that first exit. No Valero. She drives down the feeder for like 5 miles. No Valero. She drives down the feeder for like 10 miles. No Valero. There's no overpass. There's no Valero. Okay? No Valero. No overpass. It just disappeared. 2 years later, they built the overpass. I've heard of that happening. I was talking to a friend of mine who told me, a really good friend of mine who told me that a building just appeared. Like he said, he went on vacation. Okay. He said he has an office building. Okay. And his office building, he's been in the same office building for years. He goes, there was a very vacant parking lot in front of him. Okay. And it's been vacant forever. And he said that he went on vacation. He went on a cruise. He was gone 4 days. He comes back, gets into his office the following morning. And guess what? There's an office building that supposedly is very old and has been there for years. Like crazy stuff like this. So how is this happening? Okay. So for me, I was like, okay, so what she did was I sat and talked to her a lot about it. And I said, well, Jenny, you must have gone through some sort of like portal or something that like brought you to a different, same with Josh, remember? Yeah, exactly. You must have gone through some sort of portal or something, or some sort of like dimensional shift, and like when you did this, it was sort of like, and you in that particular one, it just dropped you off there. She's like, it had to been, but it's really weird. And I said, well, okay, so my big question is, were you gone for a while? Maybe this was your intentional comeback, like you found a shortcut to come back and you did it through this portal. And so that's, that kind of stuff, it happens all the time with her. I mean, all the time. So I sat her down and I said, okay, well, we need to talk about how you're doing this. What are you thinking? What are you doing? Are you checking out? What are you thinking about? What's happening? Blah, blah, blah. Because I wanted to try it and I was willing to risk it. I was like, what the heck? I mean, what do I have to lose? So I decided that I was going to try it. So I decided that I was going to start off with something simple. Okay. And so I just, I don't remember exactly what it was, but it was, I think I was going through kind of a slow spurt, like with work. And so I was like, all right, you know what? I'm going to try something different. So I'm going to try going into a reality where I'm book solid. So I decided to attempt a couple of different tries. And it took a few times to kind of figure out, like, after talking to her and trying it a couple of ways and trying it this way and trying it that way and doing all these different things to see if I can make this happen. And eventually I did. So this particular thing that I decided to try was to, start off with I walk into my office and book solid. So I do this technique overnight, and I wake up, I go into my office, I look at my calendar, and I'm book solid. And then I go look at my calendar for the whole week, and I was book solid. And then I look at my calendar for the month, and I was book solid. I mean, you couldn't even get a space in there for me for like months. And I was like, what? Oh my God, I did it. I did it. And then I started trying more complicated things. It was really interesting because I was like, all right, here we go. I'm going to do it again. 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 So then I was like, okay, I need to understand what's going on. So I decided that I was going to commune with spirit, and I was going to go into deep meditation, and I was going to find out what's going on. And I got some really interesting information. So this is the part that's really quite interesting, which it kind of goes into manifesting, sort of. So here's the thing, and I'm going to give you like the nuts and bolts of it. I'm not going to get into a lot of detail, because this could take a really long time to explain. But the bottom line is that we create our reality. Now, this isn't like your whole law of attraction type thing. It's more like, as you think it, it's almost like you're like this magical thing that says think, and it creates. And so like your mind, as you're thinking about stuff, it starts like creating almost like a hologram, sort of. It's like imagine that you're living in a bubble, okay? And as you move your bubble, you're creating as you go. You're sort of like creating as you go. And then so I was explaining this in a class I was teaching. And they said, well, so does that mean that so my student asked me, does that mean that I'm a creation of your reality, or are you a creation of my reality? So am I creating you, or are you creating me? And I said, we're all creating our realities. So you've got a bubble over here, okay? Trying to get it on the camera. You got a bubble here, and I have a bubble here. So just imagine, we got a little bubbles, okay? And in my bubble, I've got my reality that I'm creating, okay? And as I move, I'm creating this reality, okay? So sort of like creating as I go, building it, okay? And then, but sometimes we merge realities because that bubble bumps into that bubble, okay? Because as that person's creating that reality, this part of the reality has already been created, so it kind of merged, okay? Now, so then the question was, okay, so if you got two realities merging together and they're together, do they ever separate? Well, yeah, of course, you can separate the reality. You can like just separate and move from that reality, okay? And anytime that you exit from my presence, you're separating that reality and you start creating over here, okay? Now, but what happens when you got two bubbles, okay? All right, here, you got two bubbles. And they're like, okay, so here, like two remote controls. Okay, so you got two bubbles and they're touching, okay? So this is like Shane and me, okay? So we're in the same reality, okay? And so if I'm creating my reality and he's a creator of his reality, who's actually creating the reality? Ooh, that's a question, right? Think about it for a second. Does anybody know the answer? Just out of curiosity, does anybody know the answer? I'm going to sit here and wait for a second till somebody responds. Anybody know? Oh, come on, you guys, really? Like the period sinking a week early with my teenage daughter. Oh yeah, okay. Well, but who's creating it? Okay, if you got two people experiencing emerging realities, who's okay? But that's not actually, no, sort of. It can be. Okay, it can be. It can be a co-creation if both of them are in sync with each other. Okay, however, what if one has a different version of a reality than the other? Okay, who's creating it? Let's say my reality creates flowers and this one creates destruction. Okay, whose reality is actually am I going to experience if we're like this in the same thing? Okay, so like if you're living with somebody, you're in their reality. Okay, no. You're close. Okay, no. No, not both either. You guys know. I know this is a hard one, right? Okay, so who's actually creating the reality is the person that has the strongest belief. Okay, so the person that has it's the strongest intent, the strongest belief. So if somebody's just a floater, like they're just sort of like going through the motions, then you can control the reality of which you exist and coexist in that reality. So if they're just kind of going through the motions like then you can create the reality in which they live in and how they're affected by it. Now, is that crazy or what? Yeah, I know, it's crazy, right? I've tried it, believe me. And it works. Because you see all these people that are sleeping, they're just like little zombies in motion, right? And so, but if your intent and your belief and your personal empowerment is so strong, you can manifest a reality for that person by your intent and your belief. Why would you feel bad about it? I don't understand. I don't understand why you would feel bad about that. Yeah, it's wild, right? It is. And believe me, I have tried. I'm like Miss Magician, honestly. I swear, I'm always trying shit. Um, oh, you've been doing that lately. Yahoo! Good for you. Why would you feel bad? Until they wake up and they realize that they have the power to create the reality. Why wouldn't you just create a reality that's good for them? You know, flies and even a few people. Okay, Dana, you're gonna have to share that one with me. How are you creating a reality with flies? That's funny. With dogs, I can understand that, but with flies, that's funny. Maybe are you saying fleas? Maybe fleas? Like there are no fleas in my house. I live in a reality. I might have to try that one because my dog's been itching a lot. I didn't even think about that. A reality where fleas do not exist. you know. Um, Who feels bad? Oh, so Dana was feeling bad because she was actually imposing her belief, or she was creating a reality where certain things with other people in her reality, and she was sort of like creating it, and she was feeling bad about impacting other people, like as if she's imposing, her you know something on somebody. Okay. So if you're imposing your intent on somebody, so if it's for good, why would it matter? Anyway, they're in your reality. So, you're the creator. And you wake up to realizing that you have the ability to create. Okay. You wake up and you realize that you have the ability to create, and you realize that your thoughts and your emotions make you the creator. Okay. So if you wake up to this and you realize that you're doing it, then and everybody else isn't aware. They're just subject to what's happening. Okay? So just imagine this. And I think I've used this example before, but just imagine it like this. Okay? You're on a boat and you've got the gear, and when you pull the gear back, the boat takes off, and then you're driving it. Okay, there's no pedals, so it's like this. Okay, so you pull the gear back, the boat takes off, and your hands are on the steering wheel. Where does the boat go? I mean, that's a simple answer, right? Everybody knows the boat goes wherever you're taking it, right? Wherever you're driving it. Okay, so what happens if you take your hands off of the wheel and you leave it in gear and the boat's still going, but your hands are not on the wheel? And you go sit back in the back with your friends. The boat's still going to go. But where's it going to go? So eventually it's going to be pulled into something that has the power to pull it. Okay? And that means that there's going to be somebody with a wake or the wind or something that's going to pull that boat in a certain direction. And it's not going to be because, and you're just going to be impacted by it. So all your life, you have been impacted by somebody else's reality that they are in control of. Wow. Now, how does that make you feel? Seriously, that you've been a subject to this your whole life, that you're the one, that all this shit that's happened to you has been because they're manifesting this fucked up shit. Okay? They're manifesting something crazy because they're crazy. Because they're in some dreamland, coming up with some crazy shit, and they're manifesting it because, their mind's all wackadoodle or whatever. Or maybe their belief is so strong that they're trapped into this shit that they manifest it without realizing it. That's even more fucked up. No, really it is. It really is. And kids are amazing, and they realize a lot more than you realize. I mean, they're, I don't know. Kids are great. I just think they're great. And it's not until they get older and they're told that something isn't real or something doesn't exist and all this other stuff that they start going, really? Okay. Well, then I guess I got to stop doing that because mommy's right? And so, okay, so let's go back to this because it's interesting. I'm telling you guys a lot more than I was planning on telling you. I'm trying to save some of this stuff for a class. But here you are allowing somebody else to control your reality. So all this shit that's happening to you is fucked up shit. In the law of attraction, they say that it's your thoughts, okay? That you control your thoughts. Well, that's true, okay? And if you're not controlling your thoughts, then you're manifesting it. Well, there's another part too to this, okay? If you're not controlling your thoughts, you're partially manifesting it, but you're also living with somebody else who is creating this fucked up shit, and you're tethered to it, okay? You're tethered to somebody else's creation because you're not strong enough mentally and powerfully to be able to create all this, okay? I know. That's absolutely right, Dana. That's absolutely right. They're not inundated. Children are not inundated by belief systems. Okay, so do you want somebody else to create your reality for you and you just tether to them and you float around experiencing crap after crap, it's whoever has the strongest intent is the one that's going to actually win, okay? I find sometimes that I feel like that I'm popping back and forth because my husband's intent is pretty strong sometimes. Yeah, and so I feel like I have to work, sometimes 15 times harder to, I gotta be stronger. I gotta think harder. I gotta believe more, and sometimes I'll get mad at him and say, you're fucking things up. Stop it. And he'll just like, oh, yeah. No, this is what, and I'll just, and sometimes I'll just kind of float and allow him to like take the reins and see where he's going to take us. Okay. And other times I was like, oh, you just fucked this shit up. I got to fix it now. So I was like, okay. So there's a, there's a point. There's two parts to this little thing that I'm telling you. There's the ability to be able to tether other people into experiencing a reality that you want, and then they benefit from it. And there's the ability to be able to move into another reality, like another dimension that's similar in nature that you can kind of go to. Okay. Now, here's the key. I popped out of it and came back. And so you ask, well, why did that happen? Because I couldn't hold the vibration. So I decided that I wanted to experience something, um, you know, whatever it may be. And I wasn't holding the vibration to be able to match that dimension. So I popped. Now, I'm not talking about like a love vibration. I'm talking about the belief in something or the knowing of something. Or, it's like when you just, it's kind of weird because you sort of like feel like, did I wake up dreaming, or am I dreaming, or was that a dream, or what, like you're walking around going, holy shit, I'm booked. How did this happen? And it's like, next thing you pop back into another dimension and you go back and you look at your calendar and there's like 5 people on your calendar instead of 8. And you're like, why did everybody cancel? Okay. It's just because I just popped back because I was questioning it too much. Okay. And I was like, Now, anyways, so there's a very specific technique that I use when I want to, do that. And I've tried it multiple times. So if you guys want to learn, I'll definitely teach you. And that's up to you if you want to try. So just let me know. Now, if you are interested in learning, you just say, count me in, and pop it into the comments. Okay. That way I can, I'm going to create like a little group, and I'm only going to do, because this will be new for me. I've never done this before, but Chris told me that you can do like a little messenger thing where you can like have 8 people in the video chat on Messenger. So I'm gonna have to figure that one out, but I think it's 8 people. So I'm gonna, oh, good. Okay. So that's one. So counting me, that's 2. So I get 6 more people, and I'm doing it. Okay. So, oh, good. Okay. 5 more people. Anyways, and if more than a certain amount of people want to do it, I'll do multiple things. Okay. But we'll try to keep it to somewhere, to an hour, 2 hours, and it's going to be $20. Okay. What I'll do is I'll give you a couple options on how you can send me the money: Venmo, or PayPal, or Zelle, or I think there's a way of doing it on Facebook too. So I don't know, if I'll have to see about setting that up. Anyways, yeah, if you're interested, just say count me in, and we'll do a fun little thing like that to learn how to do that. So, and I'll get a little bit more into, answering some questions about the tethering. Tethering is really interesting to me because it really makes you feel sort of godlike when you really understand it. And it's almost like this little secret that you have, it's like this little secret that you get to carry around with you going, I have a secret that nobody knows, and I'm not going to tell you because then I'll screw it up. But I'm the god of this kingdom right here, and I'm creating all this. Okay. And I'm creating a better relationship with my mother, or I'm creating a better relationship with my sister, or I'm creating a better relationship with my husband. Oh, I do that all the time. I'll like start working on that. Like I'll say, you got $20 in your pocket? I never have cash. Oh my God. I don't even remember the last time I had cash on me. That's crazy. somebody asked me, somebody asked me at the gas station, some guy came up to me and asked me if I had any money. And I was like, dude, I never have cash on me. I said, I'd give it to you, but you know, do you got a phone? You got Venmo? Do you have Zelle? And he looked at me like, I was like, if you want me to go buy you some coffee, I'll get my card out and I'll buy you something on the side, but you know, let me fill you up some gas, but hey, no cash. He just looked at me like I was crazy and walked off. I don't know. I just never had any money. So, anyways, you guys, I'm gonna tally this up, and hope you enjoyed this. It was a fun conversation. If you are watching the replay, you guys, make sure that if you're interested, type count me in. I promise you that I will reach out to you within a week once I get the group set up, because this is a new thing I don't know how to do yet. So I'm gonna have to figure that one out. And because what I'm going to do is I'm going to set it up as a video chat where everybody's going to be on video. So, and I'll give you a time and all this other stuff. So, also too, if you have any preferences of like evenings or mornings or something like that, you know, I got sticky change. What is sticky change? What is sticky change? I don't know what that means. Does that mean like it's got like, oh, you must have kids or something, and then they get, when I was a kid, oh my God, when I used to have change all the time, I would always like put it in my console, like in my car, and I would, I used to drink Cokes. I don't remember the last time I drank a Coke, but I used to drink Cokes and I would have it in there and I would hit my brakes really fast and the Coke would spill and it gets sticky all over the change. And so then I go to clean my car out a month later and all the coins were like stuck together. So that's what I think about when I hear sticky change. I think about those days back in the day when I used to have change and spill Cokes. So anyways, hope you guys had fun. Hope you enjoyed this. You guys, if you are watching this as a replay and you are not part of my Limitless You group, it is all female group now. I am going to be doing female topics, okay? Things that have to do with female issues. I'm working on a format right now. I'm trying to figure out like what is the most common issues that people have that they they want to experience. Please, if you have anything that you want to offer, anything you want to experience as a female and this is all free stuff, okay? So it's not like anything else. It's just some topics that we're going to be talking about with women and like a women's support group. And if there's anything that you want help with, anything you want to talk about, anything you would like to discuss with just other women and stuff like that, please put in, I think I have like a post in there that says something about any comments or topics or anything that you want to talk about. Find that post and put it in there or just drop it in any post. I don't really care. As long as it's on that page, it helps me with understanding what, current issues that you guys personally are having that you would like to talk about or just work on or anything like that, I mean, as a woman, things are different, for us, I mean, we live in a day and time where things are a little bit harder than they were a long time ago. And personally, I find it really hard to really channel my feminine energy sometimes, I mean, I may look feminine, but I don't necessarily act very feminine, And so I really, really want to like channel that more. And I've been working on that. So like the whole idea of, of not going into the office and being home and cooking and stuff like that is actually really something I've enjoyed. And it felt more natural for me. It felt really good actually. But when you're a powerful woman and you're in charge and you're always having to tell people, do not do this and do this and da da da, and it's not an option and you're going to do this every day and that kind of stuff, it's interesting because it's like you're really channeling masculine energy. And I think a lot of times, with women, we forget how to be a woman. And so we start demasculating our men, you know, because, you know, you're like doing the job of 20 people. You're like, okay, you know, you're doing all this stuff, and it's like, sort of like, what's your use? I mean, like, what good are you, you know? And it's, it's, it's like, I can do it just as good as you can. I mean, and that's where it's really hard, because, you know, we start having issues with, our relationships, because we start demasculating them. And so many of my men that I've talked to, that's how they feel. And so it's really, like, really opened my eyes a lot. And honestly, it's really helped my relationship personally, because I'm very cognitive of that now. Like, I am not going to demasculate him. I want to emasculate him. You know, I want to make him feel like a man and feel powerful and all that kind of stuff. So I think it's interesting, you know. And when I did a group of women live, you know, like in my office and stuff, and I had a group of women together, and we were talking about this, and they were like, "So you're saying I have to do that? I have to what?" And I was like, "Yeah." And and then we started talking about it again. Some of the same women, but there were some men in the group, and it got brought up again. And the guys were all like nodding their heads, going, "Yeah, we're demasculated. Yes, yes, we're demasculated." And the women are like, "What? Are you kidding me? What?" And the guys were like, "Yes, yes, yes." And I go, "Let's stop for a second. Look at the guys. Look what they're doing. They're all like nodding their heads." I know, vomit. No, that's how every woman was responding, Dana. We were all like, "What? Grow some balls, dude." You know, and it was funny because they were all like nodding their heads. And it, you know, and I remember years ago, I was thinking of, like, I had some male friends. I've always had male friends, you know, because I've always been really in touch with my masculine side. So, like, I would get along really well with men. And so most all my friends are men. Still to this day, most of my friends are men. And so I just get along with men better than I do with, well, I'm not saying, I mean, I have girlfriends, okay? I'm not saying I don't. It's just that I have, I'm some of the closest people in my life are men. And I know they're just to the point, and I like that. And I don't really feel like they're ever like holding anything back or afraid to say anything, or, you know, all that kind of stuff. So, um, you were in trance for a moment, for a moment, and then it left. Okay. Men need to learn how to embrace their feminine side. Well, see, that's the problem. That's a huge issue. So this is part of the things we're going to talk about. I don't need to sit here and go on and on and on and tell you story after story. I'll leave that up to the group and kind of get into that. But you know, I had to learn the balance. I ended up realizing that every man I talk to, you know, they're struggling, and they just don't. I mean, they're just clueless. They're just like, I don't know what to do here. You know, they feel like they fall in love with a woman in the beginning, and they end up not being the same woman that they married. And, you know, it's challenging, ladies, and I understand. And being a woman, I understand. But I have definitely found ways around that and how to fix it. And so these are things that we're going to talk about. So if you're interested in you know, that, and you're watching this as a replay, not you guys that are on right now, but if you're watching it as a replay, definitely you know, hit me up, and I'll add you to the group if you're not already involved. Okay. Make sure that you're paying attention to the post, you guys, because I noticed that some of you guys that are in the group are not noticing the post in the group, yet you'll notice the post that's on my page. So I don't know if it's a notification issue or what, but just pay attention, and so you're gonna miss out on some of the good stuff. Okay. I have to go. It's already been an hour, and you guys are fabulous. Thank you so much, and I love you all, and hope you enjoyed this. And like it, thumbs up it, do whatever, make a comment. I love comments. Please comment, because it helps me with being able to understand if that's the topic that we need to discuss. So if you have anything to say, please say something. Okay. Have a wonderful evening, you guys, and remember, be the light, not the candle.